Hi, I'm Anja from Yoga Embodied. My question today was asked, well, it's actually asked from a lot of people, a lot of women, and it's a question regarding how our yoga practice and potentially even our daily routine could potentially change during our menstrual cycle. So when we are on our period, the question is, should we even go to a yoga class? Should we meditate? So having our period is, part of our natural cycle, and it's also natural for us to feel different at different times during our cycle. So the time when we are actually bleeding, it is a time where in Ayurveda we think apana vayu, it's a downward force, releasing force of energy that is responsible for periods, is responsible for elimination, for childbirth, just being grounded as well. And the hormonal changes are there as well. And it might be a time where actually we feel like we just want to be by ourselves, to contemplate, to take it easy, to nurture ourselves. And that's absolutely fine. So if you're on your period and you're just like, I'm just gonna lie on the sofa and just chill out and do really wonderful things to nurture and nourish myself, then that's perfect. Then that's exactly what you're going to do. Some of us feel like we actually want to move and we want to stretch and we want to be active, and that energy has to shift. So we just really feel the need to move around, to do our practice. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that either. I'm a great believer in us learning to listen to our own bodies. And certainly for women's cycles, it's not so easy because in most cultures we are conditioned to ignore our cycle. We are ignoring the changes through the month, the lunar cycle, because there's also a time during our month where we feel really vibrant and alive. And sometimes when we feel maybe a bit angry or irritated, and all of that is just part of that cycle. But if we start to learn to listen to it and understand what's actually going on, we can use the energy of those seasons or these changes through the month for our benefit, and actually potentially for the benefits as well for our partners, our family, our work, wherever it might be. Anyway, I can go on about that, but today just talking about our periods. The only thing I will say, if you do go to class, this is a panavayu, it's a grounding energy, and I feel, according to what I understand from Ayurveda as well, is that energy should just be left to release. So it might mean if you have very scanty periods and you actually feel it needs to come out and flow, that you do poses that are hip opening, grounding, maybe even squatting, malasana, to feel that force of apana vayu, the downward force, releasing and just coming out. So that might be feeling like a release. For some of us, we might actually feel nurtured by doing more yin yoga practice or lunar practices. So poses where we might stay for a little bit longer. For many of us, we might have lower backache or hip pain or leg pain. So poses that are closer to the ground, pigeon pose, or lying in a supported bridge pose, anything that just kind of can allow the body to release and soften might be beneficial. When we're going to class, we can flow and we can do everything our body feels it needs to do at the time. Not our mind, but what is the body asking us to do. The one thing I will say again, because of apana vayu, is that if you're used to having very strong mula bandha or uddiyana bandha, where you lift strongly through the pelvic floor and the deep core muscles, this is a time where actually that's the energy you want to let it do what it needs to do, which is to bleed. So you start to allow that sensation of opening up and softening around the pelvic floor, so you can actually release what needs to be released as well. regarding inversions, which is another kind of one of those controversies, should you do inversions when you're bleeding? Now, medically, there's nothing to say that you shouldn't do it. The blood is not going to get stuck somewhere. You're not going to injure yourself in that way. From my perspective, I come back to the yogic philosophy and the ayurvedic philosophy of the vayus, the 5 movements of prana in the body. And being inverted can be wonderful to balance if there are any issues, especially with samana vayu around the abdomen and apana vayu, again, that energy responsible for menstruation. So I would not necessarily do an inversion during my period. I would love to just lie down with my legs up the wall or in a supported bridge pose, and that feels right in my body. So I hope that makes sense. But like everything else, this is your body, it's no one else's, it's not your teachers, it's not your gurus, it's your body. So I encourage you, not just on your period, but throughout the month, to start to really notice what your body craves. What are your energy levels? What are your moods? And what comes from the body and what is conditioned in the mind. And that is, I think that's so fascinating. So there will be much more on that subject at a later stage. But if you have any questions or comments, I would love to hear them. This is one of my favorite things to talk about. So if you have anything you want to have highlighted around your cycle and your kind of female sensuous energy, please do let me know, and I will see you another time. So thank you so much for watching again.